The wooden roller coasters of Six Flags Great America. The classic, the Renaissance Racer classic, the 90s homage to a classic, and a construction group in Idaho that changed everything.
Z-Force.
What a kick! Great America! Every time of your life, there's nothing like this. Great America! Every time of your life, you can get a taste of travel in space, or jump and shout, let it all out, and then come back for more. Time after time, Great America! Every time of your life.
In 1984, the parent company of Six Flags Corporation purchased the Gurnee location of Marriott's Great America. Marriott, largely known as that hotel company, introduced the historic Whizzer, Tidal Wave, Demon, also known as Turn of the Century, and the massive multi-record-holding American Eagle. And also that kiddie coaster that went up in flames, but we don't talk about that. So, what was the first major addition Six Flags brought to Great America?
Get ready to scream. Six Flags Great America has a new ride, and the experts checked it out today, along with our fearless Bob Wallace.
It's called Z-Force. It's a roller coaster with a twist. Literally, it features 6 vertical dives.
In 1985, Six Flags Great America opened Z-Force in the county fair area, a space diver roller coaster manufactured by Intamin and designed by Werner Stengel.
During his career, Werner Stengel has built more than 500 roller coasters around the globe.
Unlike everyday life, a roller coaster is not boring.
Well said. Well said. The Space Diver was named after its repetition of rapid diving hairpin turns. This coaster was also notable for its tiny footprint size, taking up less space than commonly found on most shuttle coaster models while providing much more track. Z-Force was hyped by Six Flags officials to have the most innovative design in roller coasters since the development of a loop back in the mid-70s. Yeah, okay. The hype train didn't stop there, as the park and news publications often boasted the ride would be the first of its kind. And it stayed the only of its kind, because Z-Force certainly didn't live up to its hype, and thus fell victim to the Six Flags Ride Rotation program. This was a program Six Flags had at the time involving the relocation of certain rides amongst their parks to increase ridership. Z-Force was relocated only 2 years later to Six Flags Over Georgia, and there it served only 2 more years until being relocated all the way over to Six Flags Magic Mountain. So what would stand in the former spot of Z-Force at Six Flags Great America? Or should I say, who would stand in the former spot of Z-Force? Could it be that you stood in the former... It's a stand-up roller coaster. I'm saying that it was a stand-up roller coaster.
Iron Wolf.
Make a splash, take a stand, that new coaster's really grand.
Walter Balaguer and Claude Mabillard worked for Giovanola, who was frequently contracted by Intamin for stand-up coasters. In 1987, Giovanola had a change in management, resulting in Balaguer and Mabillard to leave and start their own company called Balaguer and Mabillard. The pair had no intentions to work in the field of amusement rides, but Six Flags was all, what if B&M coasters were a thing? Robert Mamp, Six Flags Great America's staff engineer, approached Balaguer and Mabillard, who he had worked with during the construction of Z-Force. Mamp asked for them to design a stand-up roller coaster for the park similar to Shockwave over at Magic Mountain. Shockwave was the first stand-up coaster designed by Balaguer and Mabillard under Giovanola and was manufactured by Intamin. Balaguer and Mabillard accepted the job and, in the former space occupied by Z-Force, built the company's first roller coaster, Iron Wolf.
From quite a distance away, you can hear the screams from the brave riders who are at Six Flags Great America to be among the first to experience the Iron Wolf. What sets this space-age roller coaster apart from others is the design. You're riding in a standing position.
It looks like we're ready to go. Here we go. Enjoy your ride.
It was at this point that I said, "Ah!" But I am converted to the belief that riding roller coasters can be fun. You don't have to be cool.
Iron Wolf was not a smash success, but was still quite a success for Great America. It lasted 21 years at the park. Fun fact! Iron Wolf was the first stand-up coaster to feature a corkscrew. It's not a good corkscrew. It was easily the worst part of the ride, but that is so cool, right? But look at that cool sign. Come to think of it, that wolf looks pretty weird. But it was still such a cool sign. That chrome text is slick. In 2011, Iron Wolf served its last riders at Great America before being relocated to Six Flags America in Maryland. Great America received its new coaster X-Flight the following season, but not in the space formerly occupied by Iron Wolf and Z-Force. Instead, the area sat empty aside from Fright Fest, where it served for the spot of Fun Haven. Fun Haven was a really cool walkthrough attraction featuring scare actors and old pieces of defunct rides. Man, I miss the Skywhirl. But that's enough nostalgia, sad old man. What did the future hold for this area of Great America?
Follow the journey.
In August of 2013, Six Flags Great America began releasing their Follow the Journey teaser videos for the 2014 season. These videos featured an employee demonstrating the most effective way to get fired from a job.
Hey guys, I just got off my lunch break, and I heard these maintenance guys talking about a blueprint or something. With all this talk of Great America 2014, I decided to go in the offices and take a look. Oh my. What could this mean? A ride? A show? Maybe even a coaster? Hey, what are you doing in here? You can't be in here. Give me that.
You will notice that the name tag says David. I see you, Six Flags, I see you.
Maybe even a coaster.
That means it's going to be a coaster. In the next teaser, we see David pulled away from operating Giant Drop, presumably leaving these riders locked in their restraints for eternity. He has a consultation with the park president for a whole 3 seconds before a walkie-talkie call distracts him.
David, I have to swing by and meet Gary Pullman in the Southwest Territory. You stay right here.
David pulls out his phone and digs through the park's president's folders. David! You just know that David lives for the rush he gets from having a spicy private throwaway Reddit account. David! What the f*** are you doing, David? The final teaser has a camera labeled as Admin Cam 180. Also Admin Cam 165. David trespasses on the former site of Iron Wolf, secretly filming as two people discuss plans for the new ride. No, wait, he just openly approaches them a couple feet from behind. David! You bumbling mouth breathing! David's the type of person that pulls their lap bar down on Goliath after the ride-op explicitly says not to.
Okay, let's go check this out up here.
Okay.
I think we can put, oh, careful this piece of wood.
Oh, that's dangerous.
What the heck? Is this that kid you've been dealing with?
Yeah. What are you doing here? You've got to drop this coaster, Chase.
Brandon! David, that's enough. Get out of here.
Well, surely this gets David fired.
Goliath.
Six Flags Great America had announced Goliath, the world's tallest, steepest, and fastest wooden roller coaster. The park had gone back to its reputation for building record-breaking roller coasters, and stuck with its reputation for hosting innovative roller coasters. Wooden coasters had a moment of being highly marketable in 2013 and 2014. In 2013, Silver Dollar City attempted to hold the claim of Outlaw Run being the only wooden roller coaster with inversions. But in the same year, Mount Olympus had Gravity Group modify their wooden roller coaster Hades to include a corkscrew. Wacky wooden coasters were the industry's new secret weapon. Did somebody say secret weapon? Get out of here, Alton Towers. We weren't talking about you. Prior to the teaser video, images and an animated POV surfaced for Goliath. Early announcement materials of the ride showed it with a wooden lift hill. However, the teaser showed the ride with its signature steel lifts, sharing supports with the 0G stall. And it was genius to feature the stall so prominently because Goliath was the first roller coaster to have this inversion. It's a huge 0G stall, and upon announcement turned a lot of heads. Some people even questioned if the trains would feature over-the-shoulder restraints. That's how bonkers this inversion looked to people. The general public reviews of this roller coaster still reflect a lot of concern about over-the-shoulder restraints, which is kind of funny. In addition to the teaser series, Great America produced a second video series titled Goliath Insider to keep park guests informed. Unfortunately, David must have been fired after the last entry in Follow the Journey, so he would not appear in this series.
I'm here today with John Kraniak, Director of Marketing here at Six Flags Great America. How are you today, John?
Fantastic. How are you, David?
Hey everyone, David here from Six Flags Great America, about to give you another behind-the-scenes tour of the tallest, steepest, and fastest wooden roller coaster on the planet, Goliath. In addition, an extension has been built to accommodate Goliath. All right, John, the next question everybody's wondering is, how do we choose the name for Goliath?
David, that is another great question. When you're introducing a new ride, you really try and come up with something that will fit.
What the ride is doing, what the experience for the guests is going to be.
It just fits.
After delays in construction due to a very harsh winter, Goliath opened to the public on June 19th, 2014.
Warriors, go forth and conquer!
Goliath was designed by Alan Schilke. Goliath still holds the record for the longest drop on a wooden roller coaster, 180 feet. If you're wondering whether or not that makes this coaster a big deal, the answer is kind of. These are the top 5 longest drops on wooden coasters, measured in feet. You will notice that a lot of these are pretty darn close to each other, but Goliath is at the top. There are a few big things holding this record's presence back. Goliath's drop is not the tallest drop to have ever been built on a wooden roller coaster. Of course, that record once belonged to the no longer operating disaster that was Son of Beast, which had a self-destructing 214-foot drop. Secondly, 4 of the 5 wooden roller coasters with the longest drops are RMC Topper Track coasters that were all churned out within 3 years of each other. Which also brings us to a gray area with this record. What is it that makes this record interesting or impressive? Is it that the wooden structure holding the track up is so massive? Because if so, big oopsie, because the supports on the drop are steel. Also, another big gray area incoming, because RMC also makes very tall steel iBox track hybrid coasters that sit on a wooden structure. Steel Vengeance has that crazy 205-foot height and that 200-foot drop. It's not about the supports though. Of course, tall wooden supports look impressive, but it's all about the wood track in this category. Also, Goliath's drop goes below ground level. iBox steel track is only similar to Topper track in form, but it's quite different in function. The steel on top of the track is a thick piece of steel, but it still flexes similarly to a plank of wood. The steel sits on top of layers of wood, resulting in a little bit more of a wooden coaster experience. I wouldn't say it's rattly or anything like that, it's still a very smooth roller coaster, but it's a little bit different than something that has an iBox steel track. And the biggest criticism of Goliath, it's short. I mean, how could they fill the shoes of such a historic site with such a short roller coaster? Okay, but compared to other RMCs, it's so short. Ah, fuck it. The average track length of all RMC coasters is 3,485 feet. It's shorter than the average, but also keep in mind that a ride on Steel Vengeance takes longer than watching an Avengers movie both forwards and in reverse in half speed. Steel Vengeance is longer than CVS receipts. So it's true that Goliath has a longer track length than 7 other RMC roller coasters, but there's no denying that people commonly say that the ride feels too short. This is because Goliath is such a large and fast roller coaster. Goliath's high speed gets the trains to travel through large track elements fairly quickly. Other RMCs are often packing in tighter ride elements at lower speeds. This is why Goliath has the reputation of being short. Think about how Top Thrill Dragster only fits in a launch, top hat, and brake run with more track length than Storm Chaser, which packs in a corkscrew down drop, tip out spiral end, trick track double up, cork roll, off axis airtime hill. It's a big wooden roller coaster that they didn't make 5,000 feet long, speculated to be from either lack of space or budget. Speaking of Top Thrill Dragster, a coaster with limited ride elements can certainly make up for it by packing in intensity. So let's take a look at what Goliath manages to do within the length that it has.
Do you dare challenge the giant?
Step aside, guys. I got this.
Six Flags new Goliath. The world's tallest, world's fastest, world's steepest wooden coaster. Save big at SixFlags.com. Goliath, the giant of all coasters. Go big. Go Six Flags.
Wanna go again?
Review section.
This is a review of Goliath, which I rode a lot. I've ridden this coaster so many times. It has a length of 3,100 feet, a height of 165 feet, a drop of 180 feet, a drop angle of 85 degrees, almost vertical, a top speed of 72 miles per hour, and 2 inversions. Now as we dive into the POV here, I believe that this one does not represent how fast Goliath maintains its speed in ideal conditions. The train rolls out of the station which sits 20 feet up. A short descent and turn brings us into a 45-degree lift hill. It feels steeper than it looks, and of course since it's an RMC, the chain lift is very loud. Down the first drop at an 85-degree angle into the underground tunnel. What is it with this park and tunnels? Great America loves tunnels as much as I do. Tunnels. Exiting the tunnel, we enter this huge turnaround. It has some wonky banking that tosses you with laterals, especially at its exit. Then a criminally underrated airtime hill. It's not a very tall hill, and you hit it with tons of momentum. Up into this massive dive loop, a pretty huge hang time moment. Coasting through a web of wooden supports into a bit of a trench. You get hurled through the ride's most popular element, the 0G stall. Floating upside down for a substantial amount of time just feels surreal. Twisting back right side up, you descend back into the tunnel. Up into a final turnaround, pop into the mid-course brakes. Just kidding, those are the final brakes. So I am actually a big fan of this coaster. Overall, I rate Goliath an 8.5 out of 10. Is it because of home park bias? Is it the fact that I often get a walk-on using the highly underused single rider entrance? I mean, probably, but it's still a pretty unique coaster. That is, if you can't make it over to Poland anytime soon. Unlike most RMC coasters, Goliath is a lot less focused on airtime and truly stands out. That said, both the first drop and airtime hill are loaded with ejector airtime, especially in the back row. As great as these two features are, it's another one that steals the show. The especially long 0G stall is a favorite of riders. Many people have it as their favorite coaster inversion, period, myself included. I've heard people complain that the 0G stall doesn't have a lot of hang time on it, and that's because it's a 0G stall. 0G. You get upside down floater on this, and it's crazy. The dive loop is also my favorite dive loop on any coaster. It has a lot of hang time, and the experience of diving within the wooden supports is just fantastic. Dive loops typically don't do a ton for me, but this dive loop is so good. Goliath doesn't let up for a second. The ride does go by quick, but depending on the rider, it may be just intense enough to satisfy them. I love Goliath, but I don't think anyone expects it to be a world-class roller coaster. I don't think the park tried to make it a world-class roller coaster either. Six Flags wanted a marketable coaster first and foremost. It's Six Flags we're talking about here. But it's a great coaster and I enjoy every second of it. In order for it to be a world-class roller coaster to compete with common favorites like Steel Vengeance, Voyage, El Toro, whatever, Goliath would obviously have to be longer. The queue sucks, it's basically the same as the Iron Wolf queue line. It's switchbacks followed by a few unshaded stretches that can get pretty brutal. However, the sign looks pretty good. It does that Iron Wolf sign justice, but it's not the best Goliath sign in the chain, that's for sure.
Closing thoughts.
I really enjoy Goliath. In fact, it's my personal favorite roller coaster at Six Flags Great America. Goliath isn't like other RMC coasters, but I can see why people feel that there's more to be desired from it, especially if what you care most about is airtime. And yes, adding another 500 feet or so would have been fantastic. However, I still think that it's a great roller coaster and one of my top wooden roller coasters. Six Flags Great America is known for its solid coaster lineup. Yes, it's true that it doesn't have a standout world-class roller coaster, but it does have a huge, well-rounded lineup. Goliath is a fun, intense roller coaster that plays a key role in that lineup. Wow, that was a long video. Long video, short coaster, am I right? If you're still watching, I would absolutely love it if you gave the video a like and left your thoughts about Goliath in the comments. Subscribe if you're new here, and...
It looks like we're ready to go. Here we go.